welcome to another up close video. Today's video is looking at some brand new sentiment dies from Tonic. I think this little collection of 6 is going to be called the Centrepiece sentiments because they're really gorgeous large sized sentiments that will be more of the focus of your card rather than other dies and stuff. The sort of sentiment's going to be the focal. Well, actually, depending on the size of card you like to make, really. My kind of small size of card, they're a focal sentiment, but if you make larger cards, then, you know, they'll just be a sort of a nice sized sentiment for a larger card. I think they're also really great sentiments for your memory books and stuff as well. But also for your card making too. So I haven't got the actual packaging, but these are the 6 sentiments. You can see they fit really nicely, all 6 of them, onto one of Tonic's medium die storage pockets, which is how I keep all my Tonic dies on these. All the larger sets I keep in like zippy folders, and I just use a large A4 magnetic sheet for them. But the sentiments we have are live for the moment. Then we have the best is yet to come, family by fate, friends by choice. We have aged to perfection. I think this would look really great with like wine glasses and stuff, you know, like a red wine or something. Then we've got everyone needs a friend like you and enjoy the little things. This is the kind of one that would be good for your memory books and stuff as well, and even Age to Perfection. Actually, you could have like a scrapbook page. You could have a trip to like a vineyard or something. But yeah, loads of different uses for these kinds of sentiments, but they make really gorgeous focal points on your cards. And each of the die sets comes with the actual die. Oh, they're all like different fonts as well. They're all a mix of a couple of different fonts, and they're all different from each other too, which is really nice. So it's a real mixture of sentiments, and I'm pretty sure that they will be releasing individually, you know, so there'll be 6 different sets of a single sentiment in each one, and each sentiment has the complete sentiment that cuts out plus the bubble, which gives a tiny little border around the design. I personally like to cut this out of vellum just so it kind of mutes the background behind the sentiment, but I know a lot of people like to cut this one out of solid card because then it means you can 3D up your sentiment without having to put tiny bits of foam tape behind little intricate words. And they're also a really gorgeous fine detail. I'd say some of the parts of each of the sentiments are the kind of thin detail of the sentiment strip dies that Tonic have brought out. They're that really gorgeous fine lines on them. So that is the best is yet to come. I really love that style with the scrolls and stuff, and the way that it has the sort of flat edge because of that last scroll. I really like that one. And then this one is the family by fate, friends by choice. And again, you have the inside one that cuts out the whole sentiment, and you have the bubble too. On one of my cards, I think it was using this one actually, you can use the bubble and then cut the sentiment out as well, put acetate behind the bubble aperture and stick your sentiment on, and it makes a great shaker card, and you could do that with all 6 of them as well. I've tried to show kind of a different way to use them on each of the 6 samples that I've got, because I've made one card with each of them, but obviously you can use all of the different techniques with all of the different sentiments as well. Then this one is live for the moment, and again you have the actual sentiment die and then you get the bubble as well. This one's got like almost, no, it has got 2 different fonts, but it's got a really gorgeous large scripty L on the live, and then you've got sort of block capitals for the, and then again more scripty like the second half of the word live. You've got a more scripty kind of a font in there. Then the other 3 are Age to Perfection. I really love the way this one cuts out. I love that mixture of this sort of, it's kind of a typewriter font. I mean, because of the G is making me think like it's a typewriter font. And then you have this gorgeous scripty to perfection. I really love that gorgeous scripty font. I feel like there's been a sentiment die before that's been this scripty font, or maybe it's been part of a panel or a tag or something in one of their die sets, but I really do love that cursive sort of scripty font. And again, you get the outside edge for that one too. And actually, I love how they've formatted them all differently. This one, the way it's laid out, it kind of emulates more for a square card, whereas this one's maybe more a landscape card. This one could be square or landscape or portrait, the way they've laid it out. This one again, landscape, unless you're making a larger card and you know the width is nice and you can have it towards the bottom or something. This one is Everyone Needs a Friend Like You, and this one is actually left justified when you cut it out, so all of the words sort of start on that straight edge at the side, and again you get the actual die, which is a mix of that gorgeous block capital with the scripty font, and they've mixed it all the way down the sentiment, and you get the bubble as well, and then you get the Enjoy the Little Things, which is actually all scripty. That's all the same font in there, but they've used a really gorgeous cursive scripty swirly font for the large letters in that too. So really gorgeous sets of sentiments, and they're going to work with everything you already own. I mean, I don't think you can ever have too many sentiments, because just when you're making cards you kind of get bored of keep using the exact same sentiment on things, so it's always nice to add one or two new sentiments into your stash. And you can also extend some of them as well, like for example, the best is yet to come, you could do Happy New Year, you know, the best is yet to come, and then have Happy New Year, because it's like the best is yet to come for like 2020 or something. So you can actually embellish or extend the sentiment as well if you want to make it more specific rather than more of a general sort of sentiment. So these are the 6 cards that I have made with them. You can see here this is kind of an A2 sort of sized card, and you can see how perfectly they work on that kind of a size. This was just a really quick and simple, messy, inky background that was just using a couple of Nuvo Aquaflows and some of the Glacier paste, and I just sprayed it with water and then dunked the card into it and sort of twisted it, dried it, and then tapped it back in again. And this one I did the inlay die cutting technique, so that's actually completely flat, and the way you do this is you cut the white one first, so you want to just cut your sentiment first, then you cut it from your inky panel and you take the die away and keep all of the little landlock areas. Then you put double-sided adhesive behind the opening in your blue panel. Then you replace the white sentiment, and then you use all of the landlock areas from when you cut the blue panel to fill in the areas. And this one didn't have too many actually. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 little pieces to put back in, so it's really easy to do. And then I just finished this one with some sequins as well, but you could do this with all of the sentiments, and if you wanted to you could even take this a step further and you could have cut both of the bubble die and the sentiment die from the background, and then from white as well, and then the space between the sentiment and the bubble could have been white, and you could have paper pieced back in the blue sentiment rather than the white sentiment. So this is the one that actually came out of here. You can always add it back on with a drop shadow, so it kind of is more of a hidden sentiment as well. But as I was just saying, if you'd added the bubble too, this one, it would have then had the blue sentiment but the white bubble around it. But there's tons of different ways that you can use these kind of sentiments, especially when they have the bubble. It makes them really versatile. So that is inlay die cutting with them. This one is shadowing it with a satin mirror card behind a white die cut, and then using the bubble from vellum as well to sort of blend out the background. This was just a really quick shimmer powder background using Falling Leaves and Atlantis Burst, and this is some of the new dies from the Spring Frames die sets. I really love these circle dies, and I've actually just offset that so you can see the blue behind it. Rather than giving it a drop shadow, I decided to offset it, and then I just stuck the sentiment over the top, so you can really use them in just a simple way of just adding a sentiment to a card. Again, this is a similar idea using a few other Tonic dies. This was the Baroque frames, and this is the square scribble frames as well. And again, just doing a drop shadow, having the main one in white, but a drop with one of Tonic's specialty cards. So this one is the Navy Dazzle, I think it's called, pearlescent blue card. I just thought that worked quite nicely to sort of make it pop out of the background. And this background again was shimmer powders. It was Blue Blitz and the newest Meteorite Shower as well. And to get this sort of dotty splotchy effect, I did the whole thing with the Blue Blitz and tapped in a little bit of Meteorite Shower, sprayed it with a lot of water and got sort of a more uniformly coloured background. Then I took some of the Meteorite Shower, watered it down, and came back in and flicked it on with a paintbrush, so it gives that dotty look because the background wasn't quite dry, so it blends out into the background as well. So that's how I did that background. Then this one is how I've done the shaker. You can see here you've got the bubble is the shaker, but you've stuck the sentiment back on top, and the sentiment is cut out from the bubble, so it completely is continuous with the background that you've created. And this background I used picked raspberry and seedless preserves distress oxides. I just did a random blend on the background, and then I came back in with Quicksilver glacier paste and one of Tonic's stencils, and just added that subtle patterning across the card. And then in the shaker behind it I've used the diamond, are they called diamonds? I can't remember what they're actually called. Diamond Harlequin confetti from Nuvo. And I also put some clear glass microbeads in there to help them move around nicely. And I've done some little hot pink stars just in the rest of the background as well. But this kind of a card is so easy to create, and obviously works with all of the sentiments and with a lot of other sentiments that Tonic have brought out as well. Whenever they have the extra bubble that cuts them out, you can do this kind of thing with them. You can even do it with designs as well. It doesn't have to just be with sentiments. But so you cut the bubble out of your background and then you use the waste from the bubble to cut the sentiment. I often put both dies together and just cut it in one go, and it usually works perfectly. But if you're worried about dies crossing over, then you can cut the bubble first and then cut the sentiment from the waste of the bubble. And then all you do is add acetate behind the opening that you cut with the bubble die, and then you just stick your sentiment on top of the acetate, add foam tape behind it, and then put your shaker guts in it and then stick it to your card blank. So really, really quick and easy to do. And my top tips for things like this is, because the background is a little bit busier because it's inked and stuff, you want to keep the colour behind the shaker plain, and I often think that white pops really nicely against the colour. You could use black as well, but I'm not that much of a fan of black card. But then if you're keeping it white behind, you want to use clear or white kind of confetti to shake behind, because if I'd added the pink stars behind this, it would have obstructed the writing a little bit and made it a little bit illegible. But equally you could do it the other way around. You could have just had a white piece of card that you cut both the pieces from, and then you could use a bright colour behind and then have bright confetti shaking inside it as well. But that's just how I tend to do my shaker cards. You always want sort of a nice contrast so that you can really read the sentiment if you've used a sentiment. Then I had leftover Quicksilver Nuvo Glacier paste on my mat, and leftover of the purple and pink inks because I'd been ink blending, and so I mixed them together to create a pinky colour of glacier paste, and then I just spread it onto a piece of white card, and that's what I actually used here in the background. So it's kind of like a purpley pink colour, but with that gorgeous glacier paste look in it. And I just kept this one really, really simple, and I just ripped the two edges, put it slightly diagonally across the card, added a doubled up border using Tonic's A2 rectangle dies that are mixed edges, so it goes scallop, plain, and I just used one scalloped, one plain. and I did it from, I think this is called Golden Mosaic, and then I added a dark brown one to offset it. And then for the sentiment, I did the dark brown, the Golden Mosaic, which I actually used the scrap from the centre of the frame, and then a white one as well, because obviously it's on a white card blank, you want to tie the white back in. And I just shadowed them all, so it's a triple shadowed sentiment. But that's just such a simple card and would work with any of them as well. And the sentiments that are maybe more square sort of design, you could just have a square frame around it and have that diagonal strip behind it as well. And then finally, the last one I did was that everyone needs a friend like you. I used three. Did I use three? Yeah, three of the sentiment for the background. So one is here, one is then down here, one is here, and then the waist from here, I chopped that off and put it up here, and the waist from one down here, I used the E of it down here. And then I stacked up three more of them in white card, and then I took three different Nuvo Aquaflow colours, a yellow one, a red one and a blue one, and watercoloured a rainbow onto another piece of white card, let that dry, and then die cut that as well. Then I shadowed it on top of my stacked die cut, so this is like a really thick sentiment, and then used a vellum bubble behind and just put that straight back on top of the card. So you're just using that one die to create that whole card, and obviously you can do that with all the different sentiments as well. You might need more of the sentiments to fill the background depending on how large they are. And then for little extra accents on this, I use some of the pearl rectangles from the Nuvo Gems range. And I also, around the edge of this, I felt like it needed a bit of a border rather than it just ending where I've cut the words off. So I've used one of these fine tip glue bottles, or the nozzle from the Nuvo Deluxe would work as well. You just run a bead of glue all the way around the edge of your panel and then dump on some glitter, and this is the ice white glitter, and then you just let it dry and it gives that gorgeous outline effect to your panel, and it kind of hides you know, the like half letters and stuff that are left from when you've trimmed bits and pieces off of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video showing you 6 different ways really of using sentiment dies, and just showing you the 6 different sentiments, one on each of the cards as well. So even if you don't have these sentiments, just look at your sentiment dies that you have. If they have that extra bubble design, you can do the shaker card version with them, or you know, if they're a nice sentiment that doesn't have too many landlocked areas, you can do this inlay die cutting with them. You could easily do this with any sentiment you have, whether it's one that would fit more in a rectangle or in a square. You know, there's loads of different things you can do with sentiments, so hopefully this has given you a few ideas of how you can use them. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!